What statistically improbable thing happened to you? I received my heart transplant after being on the list for only 7 hours. I had a friend of a friend in New York who needed an organ transplant. The doctor evidently told her, "You'll be waiting for a year here. Go to Florida. They have no helmet laws and year-round sun." She moved down and had a new liver in a few weeks. Hopefully that's the organ she needed. Riding my bicycle on a commercial fishing pier as a kid, I lost control and rode off the edge with a 20-foot drop to exposed rocks at low tide. I tried to stop myself going over by planting my feet on the edge of the pier, but I knew my bike was too heavy. Somehow the bike stopped, halfway over at a 45-degree angle. However, now the seat was in the small of my back, preventing me from getting off, and I couldn't budge it at all to get the bike back up. A fisherman finally ran over to help me, and we decided he would pull me as hard as he could and I'd let the bike fall. I jumped to the side as he pulled me back to the pier, and it worked. However, my bike was still there, not moving at all. When I examined what had happened, there was a piece of rebar sticking out from the edge of the pier, bent upwards in an L shape, and it passed diagonally through the spokes of my front tire and completely wedged my bike in place. It was the only spot on the 300-foot-long pier with anything sticking out. I most certainly did not stop myself and my bike from going over. I have been hit in the head by live squirrels 3 times in my life, each on separate occasions. Did you have a hat that looked like an acorn? Many years ago I had a terrible day where my then-girlfriend broke up with me, then I did terribly in a final exam for a college class, then I lost my wallet, and finally, as I was doing the Charlie Brown sad walk back home, some random branch broke off a tree as I was walking on the sidewalk underneath it, and the damn thing fell on top of me and hit me square across the shoulder and knocked me to the ground. I just burst out laughing because it was so ridiculous. This triggered an old memory from my uni days. I woke up one morning and a series of small things went wrong. Think spills, broken dishes, burned clothes while ironing, corrupted assignment file on my laptop, that sort of thing, one after the other, all morning. As I was leaving my hall of residence to head to my first class, I tripped and fell on the stairs. That was the last straw. I turned around, went back to my room, got back into bed and stayed there for the rest of that bad luck day. After losing an AirPod while skiing, I was able to find it the next run. I lost an earring diving in a deep mountain creek. I paddled in the water over where it fell out, and I shouted, "Watch this!" to my girlfriend and dove down 10 foot to the bottom and blindly grabbed a bunch of tiny river rocks in my fist and swam to the surface and held my fist high triumphantly. I swam to the bank to my girlfriend and opened my hand, and it was there with the river rocks. Got attacked by a robin in the morning, then attacked by a hawk 3 hours later. Weird day. I was on a road trip with my cousins in the 80s. One of them kept playing the same song over and over by rewinding the tape and playing it again. The song was, "Another One Bites the Dust." After 3 plays in a row, the driver pulls out the tape, says enough, and turned on the radio. Sure enough, that song was playing on the radio right then. Not me, but a friend. He was a merchant mariner, lived here in Virginia Beach. He was always calling and texting, posting pics from around the world. One time he'd been out a while. We knew he was heading to Dubai, but didn't know where he'd be after that. For months go by, nobody's heard from him. His neighbor, who I was friends with, gets married and goes to Thailand for his honeymoon. He texts me one day and said, "You aren't gonna believe this shit." He said he asked a local where a good local spot to eat was that tourists wouldn't be at. Guy takes him 30 minutes from the beach, to some dive bar restaurant with no sign, no clearly marked entrance. He said it looked so shady he was afraid he was about to be robbed and killed. He goes in, and it's a legitimate restaurant. He eats, drinks some beers, goes to the bathroom. Out walks my friend, so he took a pic and sent it to me to confirm he's okay. Imagine taking a flight several thousands of miles away, getting away from the tourist areas and going into a local dive bar, and running into your fucking next door neighbor you haven't seen in months. Shit's wild. A friend of mine, had a signed copy of a book from his favorite author. While he was at university, his mother asked him if she could donate his books, and he said okay. He had forgotten that the book was in his room. He thought he had it with him at school. When he realized his mistake, the book was long gone. More than 20 years later, another friend, B, was in Japan. He was in a cafe that had a book exchange. He picked up a book that had an inscription. It was dedicated to someone with the same first name as our friend who had lost his inscribed book. B decided to buy it for A, not knowing that A had lost an inscribed book from the now dead author. B sent the book to A in the US. I was quite surprised to get a package from B who he hadn't heard from in years. He was even more surprised when in it was the exact same book his mother had donated. It was still in pretty good condition and even had notes in his handwriting in the margins that he didn't remember making. First got cancer in 1993. In 2003, they told me to get my affairs in order. I had 6 months. In 2021, they told me it spread to my bones and lungs. They gave me 5 years. In 2023, 2 years down and feeling about 90%. Fuck 'em, just keep living out of spite. 30 years and counting. My dad's birthday was 3-3, my brother is 6-6, mine is 7-7, and my son is 11-11. I saw an ad on a Pepsi case at a grocery store for a text-to-win contest to see Beyoncé in concert. I figured why not, and sent a text and was entered. A few weeks later I got a text back from the same number that told me I won the grand prize. I ended up winning 2 tickets to Beyoncé's Mrs. Carter World Tour in Brooklyn and $500 on a Visa gift card. Used the $500 for some bus tickets and a hotel down the street from Barclays. The seats were awesome and it is something I'll never forget. I had something similar. I randomly entered my name into a box on a Staples counter for an all-expenses-paid trip to Vegas, spending money flights, hotel etc. and won. However, I wasn't able to claim it because I was only 17 at the time. I instead received a $50 gift card. I was so mad. While attempting to get medical treatment, the doctor's office ran a pharmacy report on my medical history and prescriptions. My terminally ill brother, whose full name was only 2 letters different from mine, and we had the same address and phone number, was on a shitload of narcotics at the time, and through their search they pulled up his report and thought it was mine. They yelled at me and kicked me out of the office saying I was just looking for drugs. I was mortified and very upset, and they wouldn't listen to me when I said it was my brother and not me. I ended up calling the pharmacy board and they called the doctor and explained that since we had the same address, phone number, and an extremely similar name, they had to search by social security number. The doctor felt horrible and gave me free treatment, and now he tells that story at conferences he goes to. It was crazy. So of course, I had something happen to me that the doctors or nurses had never come across before. The doctor shared with me the tales of the conferences he spoke at and said none of the doctors then knew it was possible for data from 2 people to be included in the same pharmacy report either. I guess they do now. Good for him for owning up to it and sharing it to train other doctors. Went to a county fair and found a season pass on the ground with my name on it. 4 people in my area with the same name, and I know 2 of them. What are the odds of that? Picking the slowest checkout lane in the grocery store every single time for the last 40 or so years. Hit by lightning. Sort of. Indirectly. Lightning hit a tree near the wellhead while I was doing dishes. Exploded the tree, fried the well, and gave me a jolt that made my metal fillings so hot they burned my tongue. Other than that, I was fine. Lightning hit a tree 20 feet from me, traveling through the water I was standing in from heavy rains, and through the metal cargo trailer I was also touching, looping through me twice basically. I woke up on the floor of the trailer with my dad and uncle looking at me like an alien. My son died at 11 months old for 2 minutes. I got to hold him as he took his first breaths, hold him while he took his last breaths, and then got to hold him as he took his first breaths again. It's something as a mother I don't wish on anyone. It was by far the scariest night of my life. I'll never forget it. New Year's Eve 2007 in Fairbanks, Alaska. My son statistically was not supposed to survive the pregnancy. I nearly lost him 3 times in the first trimester. I started going into active labor at 20 weeks, got put on strict bed rest, and then developed preeclampsia. I also had hyperemesis through the whole pregnancy. I couldn't even hold down water and needed daily fluid and nutrition. I was 17 pounds lighter than my pre-pregnancy weight when I delivered him at 39 weeks. By all of that, he shouldn't be here now. To make things even weirder, the doctor that kept me from losing him in my pregnancy was the doctor that treated him in Alaska. A completely different hospital, all the way across the country from where we first met. It felt like divine intervention to see his face, and I knew deep in my soul my son was going to be okay. My son is a happy, healthy teenager now. I am sitting here crying thinking about that night. It definitely still feels like a gut punch when I think about it. My friend was going to Ireland to visit her extended family for the first time, and invited me along. We had a great time meeting her aunts and uncles, seeing the beautiful sights, etc. On our last night in Ireland, the family all got together for dinner, some rousing laughs, and a general awesome time. Her cousin had been traveling that week and was only in town for one night, and so she and her boyfriend swung by to say hi and bye. They left for the airport to NYC and we went to sleep, getting up at 4 a.m. to catch our own flight to NYC. 2 days later, I had to be in NYC for a job interview. I wasn't familiar with the Wall Street area, so I went extra early just in case I couldn't find it. But as luck would have it, I found it with no problem and had 40 minutes to kill. I had no idea what to do, considered getting food but didn't want to risk staining my clothes or having an upset stomach or anything, so I wandered around a little until I stumbled on the Barnes & Noble bookstore. Thinking this was perfect, I went in and walked slowly through the store looking for somewhere to sit. There weren't any sort of private spaces on the first floor, so I found the escalator and started heading up. As I approached the halfway mark, I see a young couple going down on the escalator. As our eyes meet, we recognize each other, and at the exact same time, as we both met halfway up down the escalator, we pointed to each other and turned as we passed each other, mouths open in shock. My friend's cousin and her boyfriend. 2 nights ago I had met them for the first time, and we had been laughing and sharing food and wine in her aunt's house in Ireland. And now here we are, crossing paths exactly halfway on the escalator. A moment sooner or later, and we would have completely missed each other. She quickly came back up the escalator, and we chatted about how crazy this coincidence was. I nailed the job interview too because I just felt this surge of right time, right place-ness that meant I was supposed to be there. I was so full of confidence and optimism. I made the whole panel of interviewers laugh and talk comfortably with me and got the job. What statistically improbable thing happened to you? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.